I've got a confession to make. I don't watch a lot of movies. There was a time in my life when I would keep up with any hot, trendy new thing to air in theaters and spend an egregious amount of money doing so. But after a while, specifically around the start of the Marvel Cinematic Universe trend, where they finally started making good, faithful to source material comic book movies, but also started pumping them out in an absolute deluge that I just could not keep up with, I eventually realized that I no longer enjoyed the movie-going experience. No, that's not fair to say. It's more like I realized that I'd never enjoyed it to begin with, and was only putting up with it as a means of seeing the movies that I wanted to see. I never liked leaving the comfort of my home to go to a theater. I always felt obligated to bring friends even though we couldn't socialize during the screening, and we'd usually just disband immediately afterwards instead of hanging out and discussing the movie at length. I definitely didn't like the cost of seeing a movie in theaters, which, including the cost of popcorn and drinks, can run you about as much as an entire steak dinner nowadays. Why put myself through all this hassle when I could just watch movies at home for next to nothing? In the comfort of my own home, I could riff on a movie with a friend or significant other as much as I wanted without having to worry about disturbing other viewers. I could have a home-cooked meal while I watched, I could pause it to go to the bathroom, I could rewind and rewatch scenes at any time for any reason. I was paying more, putting in more effort, and having a worse time. For what? Just so I could watch a few movies a few months early? After some introspection, I eventually realized the reason why I was putting myself through all of this was just for hype and FOMO. That's fear of missing out. I wanted to watch new movies solely by virtue of them being new. There are plenty of amazing movies that I've never watched, yet instead of watching those at home, I was watching, Deadpool 3? Fast forward to now, and I no longer go to the movies basically ever, and instead have made it a mission of mine to, at some point before I leave this mortal coil, watch all 100 of the top-rated movies on both IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. Will I do this anytime soon? No. It's simply something that I know that I want to do for the sake of experiencing the most of what this art form has to offer. A way to appreciate the medium as opposed to just consuming it. What I'm doing is called forming a backlog. I do this with gaming too, of course. Titles that I never got around to at the time of their release go on the wish list, and if they go on sale or something reminds me of their existence, I'll pick them up. This is how I finally got around to playing Hollow Knight, for instance. There are also games from many generations ago, like Earthbound, that remain on my backlog that I want to get around to at some point. This is actually one of the reasons that I enjoy streaming and making content so much, because it gives me an excuse to play something that I normally would never get off my ass to play, and it's always an enriching experience when I do. And the reason I like having excuses to tackle the backlog is because I never know when my next favorite game could be sitting there somewhere waiting for me to play it. A whole new genre I never thought I'd enjoy might end up being my new hyperfixation. And this is how I discovered Trails, and this is how I discovered that I like tactics-based games, and I'm sure there's a lot more out there that I still haven't unearthed. There are also times when I'll pick something up and it just does not grip me in the slightest, and that's totally fine and just a sign that I should move on to something else. There are even times when I'll pick up a game and just absolutely despise it, and I also value those experiences. Ironically, the games I hate tend to be games that I end up pouring way more time into than the ones I just find unremarkable, because that hatred is usually the flip side of the coin of all of the potential I saw and all the things I found promising in it. For example, I remember despising XCOM Enemy Unknown, despite sinking 180 hours into it. It did so many things right, and because of those things, the frustration at all of the things it got wrong were amplified in my head. And then, of course, as a happy ending to the story, XCOM 2 ended up coming out and became one of my favorite games of all time. Hey, Fire Axis, when's XCOM 3? It's been 8 years, I'm begging you! So, lately in certain gaming spaces, I've noticed people offhandedly treating the term backlog like some kind of dirty word, expressing a feeling of being weighed down by the back catalog of games that they've purchased but haven't played. I've even noticed some people expressing a zen-like attitude towards liberating themselves from their backlogs and only playing things they want to play. But let's unpack that for a second. What exactly is it that we want to play at any given moment? Look at your entire library of games, assuming that you have one, and ask yourself what it is that you want to play right now from that list. Odds are, the answer will either be something new, something you were already playing, or a live service or a competitive game that's Skinner-boxed every waking moment of your life since you picked it up. This isn't a call-out or anything, this is just human nature. I mean, how are we supposed to know we'll like something before we play it without having somebody else hype it up for us first? Our lizard brains crave that sweet, sweet dopamine and will push away anything that it's not convinced is going to reward that. And I mean, of course, hype itself can make things more enjoyable. Lord knows if Elden Ring or Silksong existed in a vacuum with no word of mouth, a lot more people probably would have crashed out at the very beginning instead of sticking with it. I mean, I know I did when I played the original Dark Souls, and subsequently went the wrong way from the initial bonfire not once but twice. As a result, it can feel like work to summon the motivation to fire up a game from the backlog long after the hype cycle is over. Lately, though, it feels like there's a more nefarious angle to it than this. Enter the algorithm. Up to about a decade ago, if I were to say this, you'd probably ask, what algorithm? But now we live in a time where if I just say the algorithm with a capital A, most people immediately know what I mean. I'm not talking about any one particular set of ones and zeros. I'm talking about the entire methodology that's omnipresent in virtually every entertainment and social media app that takes our desire to use the internet and find something and flips the script on us. We no longer seek things out on the internet. Our apps instead tell us what we want by collecting every last bit of information about us, including the tiniest, most subconscious behaviors. Oh, I see you lingering on that cat video for 4 more seconds than usual. Bam! That's bumped up in the algorithm now. What's that? That rage bait post about how insert new game here looks like a PS2 game got you to read the comments? Bam! We're going to show you more of those too. Nowadays, everything is like this, presuming to know better than us what we want to see. And the sad part is, it works. These algorithms do know what kinds of content will keep us consuming slop on their platforms forever, and it's conditioned us as a society to just accept it. Everything's so much easier when we just let our platforms tell us what we want to consume. It's the same sheep-like conditioning that's making it harder to break the mold and take any initiative, even when it comes to things that we do have control over. Like giving that copy of Subnautica we've had sitting in our library for years but never got around to playing a try, in favor of purchasing the 4th new mining simulator to come out this week. I'm not kidding, by the way. As of writing this, there are 4 games about mining on the Steam trending page. This is also exacerbated by subscription models like Game Pass, but that's a topic for a whole other video. The end result is this mind prison where we're stuck on this autopilot of consuming the newest thing for no reason other than the fact that it's new. Anytime a direct sequel to anything is announced, the first question that comes up is, can I play this without having played the first? Nobody's going to put a gun to your head either way, but have you ever stopped to ask, why? Why not play Death Stranding 1, or Yakuza 7, or Trails First, or FF7 Remake before jumping into the sequel? Even if you have zero interest in the story, at the very least the first entry will usually be cheaper, and the gameplay will usually be similar enough to give you an idea of if you'll want to continue. I ask why, but deep down, I already know. It's because of that primal urge in our brain shouting, new thing good, old thing bad. Well, I'm here to help you wrestle that lizard in your brain and tell you that more thing good, less thing bad. And that's what backlogs are there to do. Broaden our perspective on what's out there as opposed to just submitting ourselves to a never-ending cycle of out with the old, in with the new. I've also seen the argument that scooping up games on sale that we know that we're never going to play just for the sake of building a collection is also just mindless consumerism. And don't get me wrong, that absolutely does happen and can be problematic, but I just want to clear up one thing. Your backlog isn't just the games you've purchased but never played. Like my example with movies at the start of this video, I didn't preemptively purchase all 100 plus movies on that list to watch later. No. Your backlog goes even further than that. It's anything you've ever wishlisted, anything you've ever thought may be a good idea to play at some point but never got around to, anything that you've randomly watched a video essay about at 2 a.m. and thought, damn, that sounds right up my alley. The world is your backlog. You will never finish it all, and that's a good thing. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, it's this. Your backlog is not a ball and chain that you should constantly feel pulling at your conscience whenever you swipe for Call of Madden 2077. It's the key to the shackles society has long since already foisted upon us. The shackles of submission to the tides of hype culture. The shackles of fear of missing out on what's popular while it's still popular. The shackles of obsession over what's trending on the social media apps that dictate our thought patterns for us. Be free, break the cycle, embrace the backlog. Let me know in the comments what highly acclaimed games have been sitting in your backlog that you should probably get around to, or if you've recently developed any new obsessions playing older games. As always, my name has been Mount Lover, and a like and a subscribe would be massively appreciated, especially for a small human-run channel like my own, where I can use all the engagement that I can get. If your backlog is empty, then allow me to give you a couple of suggestions in my video essays about Trails, my favorite JRPG franchise, and Voices of the Void, one of the most groundbreaking horror simulation games to come out this decade. Otherwise, keep moving forward.